Brands are human. We always talk about how talent matters. This is a very clear manifestation of why talent matters.
Joining me today at the Speaker's Corner is Bant Breen. He is the founder, chairman, and global CEO at Qnary. Bant, fantastic to have you here.
It's great to be here.
Thank you. So, Bant, let's talk about Possible. What excites you most about being at Possible this year?
We have been part of Possible for all 3 years as a company. And I think the exciting thing to see here is how Possible has become clearly like a part of the whole marketing calendar in general. It's a huge audience. It's grown every year. I think there's over 5,000 attendees this year.
5,400 to be exact.
5,400? Okay, so these are getting to be significant numbers. If I was running another festival like Cannes, I might start worrying a bit because this is pretty impressive. If you can come to Miami, why go to France?
So, Bant, tell me, why do you think personal branding matters so much for execs today?
I started Qnary 10 years ago, and at the time, there were a ton of tools out there supporting brands to optimize themselves, to scale with paid advertising, and we still have thousands and thousands of ad tech platforms that do that now. But there was kind of a missing piece because when I looked at the data, the engagement levels that people were getting when they were sharing stuff with other people were 10, 20, sometimes 50% higher, 50 times higher than what a brand was getting organically. And so from our perspective, there was a real opportunity to figure out, how do you harness the power of executives? How do you build that into a channel? And voila, that's kind of what drove Qnary. We believe that really, ultimately, whilst this may seem so obvious to you, people like to talk to people. People trust people, right? Me having a conversation with Oreo cookies is an abnormal thing. Me talking to a person is actually what we've all done, and what marketing really has always been about. It's that word of mouth kind of type of story. And so we've been able to build an engine where we allow executives to kind of dimensionalize the story of their enterprises through kind of thought leadership and advocacy.
Okay, so let's talk about AI. How do you see AI changing the way leaders build their presence online?
So I've had kind of an interesting history with machine learning. So about 7 years ago, I went to a conference, and there was a very famous advertising executive who said, AI will never be anything. Creative is going to be always going to be in control of, by the human in the room coming up with the ideas. And I kind of asked myself the question, which was, will a machine be able to be creative? Will, in the same way a human, is able to do that? And so I actually did a PhD. I have a PhD kind of about machine learning and media and marketing. And I think that kind of process of getting that PhD really informed my position on AI today. The tools that we have in AI, it all seems very new, but it's actually kind of old technology. It's come to the fore because we actually have the processing speeds to manage it today, but it's a support tool. It supports us doing things better. It allows us to scale more effectively. 99% of the stuff that you see today through like ChatGPT or something like that is a support tool. And we love that, right? But what we would also say is that it's not a final tool. It's not you. It's not perhaps kind of like that kind of human touch, that human magic still needs to be there. So what we do is we use it as a kind of a scaling piece, a drafting piece for all of our work. But then we obviously match that with kind of the strategic know-how and the creativity of people.
So now there's so much noise out there. How do you help your clients stay real and build trust?
One of the things that I noticed when we started Qnary was that back in the day, if you and I were meeting and you worked for a big famous company like the New York Stock Exchange, you'd probably say, "Hi, I work for the New York Stock Exchange." But what I think has happened in the digital era is that the brand, the personal brand or the executive brand, is not behind the brand of the company anymore. It's alongside of that brand. And so that has happened because there's that transparency, because digital forces us to kind of interact with everyone, all stakeholders of the company. And so I would say, how do we build trust? We give executives that front voice, right? We give them that connection, and we do it in a way that is controllable and structured, really.
Okay, finally, Bant, what's the biggest mistake you see executives making with their online presence?
Probably the biggest mistake would be to think that it doesn't matter. All of us have a digital footprint of some form or fashion, and it matters. It matters in terms of their reputation. It matters in terms of the opportunities that they're going to receive. It also matters in terms of the reputation that the enterprise that they're associated with, as well as the opportunities that that enterprise will receive. So anybody who's like, oh, yeah, I know that's important, but I'm just going to focus on my brand, is really missing the point, because if I'm meeting you, I'm looking you up, right? If I'm going to work for you, I'm looking you up. If I'm interviewing with you, I'm looking you up, right? And so it matters. You are the dimension of the brand. Brands are human. We always talk about how talent matters. This is a very clear manifestation of why talent matters.
All right. Well, Bant, fantastic to talk with you.
Wonderful to talk with you.
Thanks for joining me at Speaker's Corner.
It's great to be here. Cheers.